Okay, before we dive in, can we talk about that scene from the movie? You know the one. Rose floating on that massive wooden door while Jack freezes to death in the water? Yeah, there was definitely room for two. The internet has been roasting Rose for like 25 years now. But forget the movie for a second. Let me tell you about the real Titanic. And trust me, it's way crazier than anything Hollywood showed you. April 10th, 1912, Southampton, England. The RMS Titanic is about to set sail on her maiden voyage, and people are calling her the unsinkable ship. Not just confident, unsinkable. This thing was the most advanced piece of technology on the planet. We're talking about a ship that's 882 feet long, almost 3 football fields. It weighed 46,000 tons and cost $7.5 million to build. In today's money, that's like $200 million. Inside, it was basically a floating palace. First-class passengers had grand staircases, a swimming pool, a gym, Turkish baths, and even a freaking squash court. The dining room could seat 500 people under crystal chandeliers. This wasn't a ship. This was a luxury hotel that happened to float. But here's what made Titanic special. She had 16 watertight compartments in her hull. The idea was, if the ship gets damaged, these compartments seal off and keep water from spreading. The ship could survive 4 of them flooding and still stay afloat. So naturally, everyone's like, yeah, this baby's unsinkable. Spoiler alert. It very much could sink. So who's on board? About 2,200 people total. You've got the ultra-rich in first class, millionaires, celebrities, business tycoons, John Jacob Astor, one of the richest men in the world. Then you've got second class, middle-class families, teachers, tourists. Still pretty nice accommodations, honestly. And then third class, mostly immigrants. Families leaving Europe hoping for a better life in America. They're packed into the lower decks, dreaming of new beginnings. Oh, and the ship has its own band. 8 musicians who play in the dining rooms and lounges. Remember them, they become heroes later. The warning signs, 2:30 to 3:30. But before Titanic even leaves the dock, bad omen number 1. As she's pulling out of Southampton, the suction from her massive propellers almost causes a collision with another ship. The boats miss each other by like 4 feet. Some crew members are like, maybe this isn't a great sign? But whatever. They keep going. April 14th, 1912, day 4 of the voyage. Titanic's cruising through the North Atlantic at like 22 knots. Almost full speed. And here's the thing. The radio operators are getting warnings. Ice warning. From other ships in the area. 1 warning, 2 warnings, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ships send messages like, hey, heads up, there's a massive ice field ahead of you. Captain Smith and the crew, they basically ignore them. Why slow down? This is the unsinkable ship, remember? Plus, they're trying to make record time to New York. What could possibly go wrong? April 14th, 11:40 p.m. It's a cold, moonless night. The ocean is dead calm. Up in the crow's nest, Lookout Frederick Fleet is scanning the horizon. And then he sees it. Iceberg! Right ahead! He rings the warning bell 3 times and phones the bridge. First Officer Murdoch immediately orders, hard a starboard, full astern! The ship starts to turn, but it's too late. Scrape! The iceberg drags along the starboard side of the ship for like 10 seconds. To most passengers, it just feels like a little bump. Some people are like, oh, did we hit something? Others don't even wake up, but down below, it's bad. The iceberg tore open the hull across 6 compartments. Captain Smith goes down to check the damage with Thomas Andrews, the ship's designer. Andrews does the math, and his face goes white. He tells the captain, the ship has maybe 2 hours. 2.5 tops. 2 hours? This unsinkable ship is going to sink in 2 hours! At 12:05 a.m., Captain Smith gives the order. Uncover the lifeboats. Get the passengers on deck. But here's the problem. Titanic has 20 lifeboats. Sounds good, right? Wrong. Those boats can hold 1,178 people. There are 2,200 people on board. Over 1,000 people have no way off this ship. And it gets worse. The crew never did proper lifeboat drills, so half of them don't even know how to launch the boats correctly. The first lifeboats leave the ship half empty because nobody knows what they're doing. The order goes out, women and children first. And this is where it gets heartbreaking. Families are being torn apart, husbands kissing their wives goodbye knowing they'll probably never see them again. Fathers putting their kids in lifeboats and staying behind. John Jacob Astor, richest guy on the ship, remember, puts his pregnant wife in a lifeboat. He asks if he can join her since she's expecting. Officer says no. Astor steps back, lights a cigarette, and that's the last time she ever sees him. Down in third class, it's chaos. The gates to the upper decks are locked. They're trying to control the crowd, but it means hundreds of poor immigrants are trapped below while the ship's sinking. Some crew members eventually break the gates open, but by then, most of the lifeboats are gone. 2:05 a.m. The front of the ship is underwater. The back is starting to lift out of the ocean. People are clinging to railings, sliding down the deck, falling into the freezing water. And the ship's band? They're still playing. Wallace Hartley and his musicians are playing music to keep people calm. As the ship's literally sinking beneath them, they keep playing. 2:17 a.m. The ship's lights flicker and go out. Everyone's plunged into darkness. You can hear the groaning of metal, the screams of people. And then, the ship breaks in half. The stress is too much. The back section rises almost vertical, like 90 degrees into the air. Imagine standing on a ship that's basically pointing straight up at the sky. 2:20 a.m. The Titanic disappears beneath the waves. And then, silence. Except for the screams. 1,500 people in the water, crying for help in 28-degree Fahrenheit water. You survive about 15 minutes in water that cold before hypothermia kills you. At 4 a.m., the RMS Carpathia arrives. They'd been racing through the night after picking up Titanic's distress signal. They rescue 705 survivors from the lifeboats, but everyone in the water already gone. The Carpathia crew said the ocean was filled with bodies and icebergs. Icebergs everywhere. The Titanic disaster changed everything. Maritime laws were completely rewritten. Now, ships must carry enough lifeboats for everyone. Radio watches became 24/7. Ice patrols started monitoring the North Atlantic. The wreck sat at the bottom of the ocean until 1985, when Robert Ballard finally found it, split in two, just like survivors described. Today, we remember the orchestra that played till the end, the engineers who stayed at their posts to keep the lights on as long as possible, the unsinkable Molly Brown who took command of her lifeboat and went back to look for survivors. And yeah, we remember Rose and that door that definitely had room for Jack. But the real story? 1,500 people lost their lives because humans got cocky. We built something incredible and thought we'd beaten nature. We hadn't. The ocean reminded us who's boss.